AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. It's 5 o'clock, quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Scott Shanle will be here in about 15 minutes talking some Houdat after the Saints got their third win of the season. Tell you what, man, it was very nice to see you win because of your quarterback. Shough statistically didn't have an awesome day, but my goodness, did he come up big. 4 of 5 on third down in the fourth quarter, 2 rushing touchdowns, really significant plays, which was awesome to see. So Saints making some progress. We'll talk about it with Scott Shanle, former Saint linebacker here in just a smidge. We know the LSU Bowl destination. Tigers will play in the Texas Bowl again against Houston. When I hear LSU against Houston, I can't help but think, like, my brain immediately goes back to moments in this series. Of course, the 99 game was the last game of the Jerry DiNardo era. When they've only played 3 times. They played 2000 in Nick's first year. They played 99, which was the last game of the Jerry DiNardo era, when Tigers lost at home to Houston and DiNardo got fired. Hal Hunter coached the Arkansas game. They won 35-7 against an Arkansas team that Arkansas win the West in 99. Arkansas won the West in 95 and 02. Anyway, but it was a good Arkansas team that year that they beat the brakes off of 35-7. Rohan played quarterback, all that stuff. Anyway, and then 96 is the one that always comes to mind. If you're old enough, you'll remember it well. If you're too young, go look up the highlights on YouTube. Kevin Falk was in his Kevin Falk era. LSU actually was trailing that game 34-14. LSU in Tiger Stadium, season opener, 1996, was down 34-14 at the start of the fourth quarter. And Kevin Falk returned a punt 78 yards for a touchdown. Tigers would complete the rally after Kendall Cleveland had a touchdown run, and then Rondell Mealy, a 36-yard touchdown run, which would put LSU ahead 35-34. Falk also had an 80-yard touchdown run in that game. He was just the greatest running back in the history of the program. It's so much fun. But I remember sitting in that game in the northeast corner with my dad and my brother, and Falk, right at the start of the fourth quarter with that punt return for a touchdown. One of the great moments. It's a shame that it was necessary against Houston in Tiger Stadium, but still one of the great moments. Anyway, we'll see what this one has in store. So LSU and Texas in the Texas Bowl. Some might wonder, why is LSU back in the Texas Bowl? I think it's important to remember that, and I know I explain this every year, and I think most people probably know it by now, but just as a reminder, the bowl selection process doesn't work now like it used to. It used to be that there was a pecking order, right? So after the BCS, or then the New Year Six would choose their teams, then there'd be a pecking order, like Citrus, and then what was Outback, now ReliaQuest, and Gator, and it would go on down the list, right? Well, it doesn't work like that anymore. The league, the SEC, gets together with its bowl partners, and they collaborate to create attractive matchups for the teams and the fan bases and who will travel and where they'll sell tickets and things like that. So, initially, I can tell you, a little more than a week ago, LSU was looking at either the Gator in Jacksonville or the Music City in Nashville. And then after last weekend's games, and we saw what was projected like for the playoff, things shifted, and then it was going to be either the Texas or the Duke's Mayo Bowl in Charlotte. And so LSU ended up back in Houston. And I know this is the third time since 2021 that LSU's played in this bowl game, and they were there a year ago against Baylor. But it does make sense for a lot of reasons. Houston is the largest LSU alumni base outside of Louisiana. So you have a lot of LSU Tigers in Houston that'll buy tickets and go to the game. It's drivable from Baton Rouge and even points in like Southwest Louisiana. We're talking about between a 2 and 4 hour drive from Louisiana, from either from Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, as you go down the I-10 corridor to Houston. It's an easy trip. The game's a Saturday, so you can even make it you could drive in the day of the game, watch the game, stay the night, come home the next day, whatever you elect to do. So they know that they'll sell tickets, right? That LSU fans in Houston will go to the game. LSU fans from Louisiana can drive and make it an affordable trip. It's after Christmas on the 27th. It's not on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, so it's not prohibitive for that reason. So there's a lot of reasons that it makes sense for LSU to be in this game. If LSU had ended up in Charlotte, I don't know how many Tiger fans are going to hop on planes and fly to Charlotte to watch LSU in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Maybe the same for Nashville. But in any event, Tigers are back in the Texas Bowl against Houston. And there's a few benefits to this game, like legitimately. I'm not going to sit here and sell you on how meaningful the Texas Bowl is for anything, but I'm looking at, okay, what are the benefits of playing this game? We could start with, in no particular order, but recruiting matters. Anytime that LSU has a chance to play in Houston, they try to do it. It's why LSU scheduled that season opener in 2014 in Houston against Wisconsin. It's why LSU, by the way, the 2027 season opener against Houston is at NRG. So the game we're going to see in this bowl game, LSU-Houston at NRG, is the season opener in 2027 as well. So the first game of Lane Kiffin's second year as the Tigers coach will be this matchup in NRG. So you remember back in Ed Ogeron's first year, 2027, LSU was supposed to play BYU at NRG, but Hurricane, was it Harvey that hit Houston? And so they moved that game to New Orleans. So it goes without saying, LSU wants to play in Houston as much as they can. Fan base is there. They recruit Houston. Houston area talent can come watch it play. There's a lot of reasons why, from a recruiting standpoint, you want to play games in Houston. But perhaps the most important reason to play a bowl game, be it the Texas Bowl, Gator, Music City, Duke's Mayo, wherever you're going to be, whatever game that no one's really excited about being in, the real benefit is the bowl practices. And in a different era, I wouldn't have made that argument. But in the transfer portal opt-out era, this matters more than ever. For example, a year ago, Will Campbell, Emory Jones, Garrett Dellinger, Mason Taylor, Kyron Lacey all opted out. They all opted out of the bowl game. Well, Will Campbell and Emory Jones opting out meant you shuffled the offensive line. Tyree Adams started at left tackle. Remember, Miles Frazier kicked to right tackle. And I think you might have, Mabenga was at left guard. I'm trying to remember who started at right guard. Maybe it was Eccles. It doesn't matter. But the point being, you were replacing Will Campbell, your 3-year starter at left tackle. So that was an opportunity for those 15 bowl practices for Tyree Adams to run out there with the first team at left tackle and then to play a game starting at left tackle. Think about the year prior. Jaden Daniels opted out in 2023 of the Cheez-It Bowl. So Garrett Nussmeier got the whole bowl prep as the number one quarterback and got to start that game as your starting quarterback, play the whole game as your starting quarterback. It's almost like a pre-spring practice, the way that the bowls work out, where you get these 15 bowl practices and you get to go play a game. And it's a glorified exhibition, and I'm not putting more stock into it than what it is. It's a glorified exhibition. You win it, great. You lose it, whatever. It's more about having the opportunity to get those guys reps. Like today, we've already learned Ashton Stamps and Ahmad Bro plan to enter the transfer portal. They're not going to be the last ones. So you've already had, by the way, Kylan Billiot has announced he's planning on entering the transfer portal, and Jelani Watkins. my guess is you're going to have more players who aren't going to participate in this bowl. I don't know if this is confirmed, but West Weeks seemed to indicate on his Instagram that it was sort of like a farewell post on Sunday. So again, not confirmed, but it would stand to reason maybe West Weeks isn't going to play, so it's going to give more opportunity for some of your young linebackers in bowl practices and the bowl game. So that's one of the reasons that primarily I would say playing, choosing to play, electing to play in a bowl game is a good decision. There's going to be opportunities all across both sides of the ball for younger players to get more reps and actual game reps in this bowl game, win or lose. So, yeah, I'm happy they're playing. It'll be another opportunity to let these guys get out on the field, coached by Frank Wilson one more time. Get to Houston, where you can show up for LSU alums there in Southeast Texas. And for a recruiting standpoint, every time you get to play in Houston, it's a big deal. So we'll see who chooses to play in the game, who opts out. We'll follow that here over the next 3 weeks as we inch closer to kickoff of the Texas Bowl with LSU and Houston. But a good draw considering. I'm not telling you should be doing backflips at LSU's going back to the Texas Bowl. But all things considered, a good draw for LSU. Tigers are an early 3-point underdog against the Cougs. We'll see who plays. By the way, Willie Fritz, former Tulane coach, is the head coach of the Cougars. And Connor Wegman, the former Texas A&M quarterback, is a starting quarterback for the Houston Cougars as well. Remember, LSU put Connor Wegman in a pretzel last year at Kyle Field, which ultimately cost him his job. I mean, Marcel Reed took over after that and never gave it up. Wegman ended up at Houston. So Blake Baker's defense has had some success against Connor Wegman. See if they can turn the trick again coming up on the 27th in Houston. All right, it's after further review. We're glad you're with us. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Quick break. Come back. Scott Shanle, former Saint, talking some Who Dat. It's AFR.
After further review.
Yo, you still have time to take advantage of the amazing peptide special over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Thought it was going to end today, but actually extended it through tomorrow. So you need to visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. Remember, I've told you about peptides, my success with BPC 157, that's Body Protection Compound 157. It's derived from gastric juice. It can be amazing for people with gut issues. If you have gut health issues, if it's Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or IBS, this could be incredibly helpful. It's also amazing for recovery. If you have muscle tears or injuries that have lingered, BPC 157 can be an amazing option for you. And you can get 10% off your total order when you buy 3 months and 15% off your order if you buy 6 months of any peptide. BPC 157 is just one peptide of the dozens they offer at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Learn more at yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
He's shown to have that it factor. What is the it factor? What is that thing that separates, some of our top quarterbacks in the league from the rest of the guys?
Saints linebacker Demario Davis talked about Tyler Shough's it factor. That's something Scott Shanle tweeted about yesterday. I know talked about on the Saints postgame show, which you see on their Twitter and their social media. Scott's good enough to join us here for a couple of minutes. Hey, man, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Okay. You heard Demario's comments. It was a big, long cut, by the way, for those who didn't hear the entirety of it. But I'll just get your take and maybe let you elaborate a bit on what you saw from Shough and then also Demario's comments about it.
Yeah, I think for me, I was a little apprehensive going all the way back to the draft. This is a guy, 26 years old, played on 3 different teams, never really produced a whole lot in college, was injury prone. And then in the preseason, it was kind of, it was a blah preseason. But I think the team handled him correctly. Let Spencer start, let him get used to the speed of the game, to the routine every week, to the meetings. And I saw in the Tampa Bay game a few weeks ago when they threw him in, I saw some throws, and I thought, okay, those are NFL throws. The ball jumps out of his arm, out of his hand, and then they go to Carolina, beat Carolina, and he played really well in that game, threw the ball vertically. And I said in our postgame show, he was walking around the field different. big body language. I'm a big body language guy, and he was walking around the field that day in Carolina like, man, I can play at this level. And when a young guy starts to do that, that's where you start to think, okay, maybe there's something here. You saw that again in Tampa Bay yesterday. Not so much in the pass game. The weather didn't permit that as much, but just running the football, doing what, Kellen needed him to do. And then, obviously I do the pregame, postgame for the Saints. Postgame comments come up. We're sitting there listening to the players talk. They asked DeMario this question about Shough. And I'm thinking, okay, I want to hear this because this is a guy on the inside. He's played a lot of football. He was with Drew. He's been around. And when a guy like that says he's got the it factor, I mean, that carries a lot of weight. That's not like, if he didn't believe that, he's not going to say that. So it kind of confirmed what I was thinking based on what I was seeing in the body language of Shough.
Scott, for someone who didn't see the game, and you're going to look at the box score with Shough, and you go 13 of 20 for 144, no touchdowns and a pick, like that doesn't look like the stat line that's going to make you go, we got our guy. But you watch the game, you're like, damn, got our guy. So what did you see that extends beyond, like tangibly, that extends beyond the stats, plays or moments that you thought were illustrative of what you're describing?
Yeah, I think just, if you around the game, you're around players, you watch guys and their moxie and their intangibles and not the box score. You just get a feeling. And like I said, I kind of had that feeling a few weeks ago. But I think yesterday, not so much yesterday, the one thing that impressed me, if you want people to impress by Tyler Shough in stats, he's a rookie quarterback who's completing 68% of his passes. That's phenomenal. I mean, if you want to win football in the NFL and the ball's only hitting the ground 3 times out of 10 passes, you're going to win a lot of games. We got used to seeing that with number 9. He was up there, 68, 69, 70% completion percentage. That will win you games. That tells me as a young guy, he isn't panicking. He's doing a good job in the pocket, which is improvement from what I saw in his college tape. He's going from first read, second read, third read. He's making the right decisions, and the game's slowing down to him. And that's why I think you start to see people believing that this guy can be a franchise quarterback. As
a defender, when you look at the Saints offense right now, who else are you noticing that you think has some upside?
Well, I think Devin Neal's done a good job taking advantage of his opportunities. Now, I don't think Devin's a number 1 back, but I think he certainly is a change of pace back. I believe for the last 2 years, the Saints' biggest need was running back. I think it's not a knock against Alvin, but he's going to be in year 10 next year. I think you take a guy like Achane from the Dolphins and put him on the Saints offense. I think it dramatically changes the offense. So if they can get a twitchy running back, I think it helps them. So I like what Neal's doing as a young guy, but I think Vele the last couple weeks, you trade a 4th-round pick for a wide receiver, he better produce. And I think after getting rid of Shaheed, he's getting some targets. What he reminds me of, and it reminds me of Colston. He's a big-body guy running those deep digs, deep in routes, catching the ball in traffic, because the Saints, we've missed that. Chris Olave is not so much that receiver, but Vele being that big-body presence who's willing to catch the ball in traffic into the noise, I think has changed this offense the last couple games.
Scott Shanley's with us, former Saint linebacker. Catch him pre- and post-game on the Saints pre- and post-game show. It streams on their Twitter, by the way, too, so you can check it out there. Follow the Saints on Twitter. You can get Scott at Scott Shanle. Scott, flip it over, because, look, as much as we're going to talk about Tyler Shough, and I get it, man, I watched the Saints defense struggle so much, especially on the road early in the season. And to go to Tampa, and I get the weather being what it was, but to hold Tampa to 20 points, to stop them 5 times on 4th down was impressive. Where do you see the most improvement week 1 to now defensively?
Well, I think a lot of times people don't give enough credit to how hard it is to change from scheme to scheme. And I know DeMario's been in the league a long time. Pete Warner's played a lot of football. Cam's played a lot of football. A lot of these guys, they're veteran players, Alante. But there's a huge learning curve. So learning how a guy, a new defense coordinator, how he calls things, how he wants you to play things, there's a huge difference between Dennis Allen's defense and what Staley's doing. So I think it took half a year for these guys to learn how to play in this primarily zone defensive scheme. And once they settled in and understand what their role is in this defense and they're playing together, I think that's where you've seen, and Staley understands how to utilize certain players. So I think they're playing good as a unit. And a couple weeks ago, they lost a game. And again, in the postgame press conference, Kool-Aid gets up there and he's talking about how they don't want to let each other down. They want to play hard for one another. Coach Staley always preaches about, do your job. And I'm like, these are all good signs. This is a team that's not won a lot of games, and yet they're still trying to do the right culture things for each other. And I agree with you 100%. Shuck's, the talk of the Saints because he's the franchise. Everyone wants to be the franchise quarterback. But I agree with you 100%. I think Staley and the defense is kind of the forgotten thing about how well they've been playing.
Scott, make this make sense for a football dummy like me. What is the biggest difference that you see? You talk about like the transition, right, from Allen to Staley. Like, what's the biggest difference that's tough for those guys to go through in this transition? Like, what do you see?
Yeah, and I parallel it a lot to I played for Greg Williams. We had the 1 year of Steve Spagnuolo, and he was not a fit for us. He obviously a great defense coordinator. He went and won Super Bowls. But for what we did with Greg, we were a huge man, pressure team. Steve comes in, and he's a huge zone guy, and he plays everything differently. We have to relearn that. And it was a horrible year in 2012. And I think early in the year, that was the problem with Staley. These guys are learning now how to play zone defense, play this odd man front with a 3-4 mainly. Just Granderson standing up, Chase is standing up, Cam's now standing up primarily. So just a lot of moving parts that took guys a while to settle down and learn how to do it.
When you and Scott Shanle's with us for a couple more minutes, there's always this conversation, Scott, that fans have in media about, like, do you want to win or do you want to lose and get the draft pick? Give me the player's perspective, if you would, on where you fall.
Well, I'll tell you, I understand the sentiment. Certainly, when you're getting the fan or media mode, it's all about you want that high pick.
Yeah.
But the reason, even as a fan and media member now, I'm like, I don't necessarily subscribe to that because I don't think there's not a Peyton Manning. There's not an Andrew Luck. There's not a guy who's going to change your franchise. If anything, if you get a top 5 pick for me, I'm beating Mickey's door down saying trade this damn thing down and collect a ton of picks because I don't think there's a player who changes your life. So for me, I would much rather see the franchise turn a corner, find their franchise quarterback, have some hope going into next year than to be the number 1 pick or number 2 pick. Because like I said, I don't think there's anybody that changes. As a player, you don't care about it. I mean, because the NFL, it's a day-to-day interview. If you're trying to interview every single day for your contract. And I've always said, if the NBA would give those guys contracts like the NFL players have, you would see an entirely different league because it's a year-to-year league, man. You got to interview every single day. So players don't really fall in line with the whole draft pick thing. I'm
with you, man. Go win games. Like, let's see Tyler Shough get better, improve, and build around your franchise. Where do you think, as you assess the roster now with 4 games to go, where do you think the biggest needs are going to be in draft and free agency?
It'll be interesting to see. Now, we've gotten used to the Saints being in cap hell every year, and that's alleviating. That's thawing out. I think next year the Saints have one of the most highest cap numbers in the league, so they're going to have money to spend in free agency. They're going to lock down some of these young guys. Obviously, Chris Olave, I don't know if he'll be back. Alante, they're going to have to make some decisions on some of these guys. But I think they need players on offense. They need playmakers. There's no guy that you get the ball in their hand, they make 2 guys miss, and they can go the distance. They need some twitchy guys, some running backs, another receiver. So they need speed on offense. And then defense, obviously, Demario and Cam are playing great, but you got to start drafting guys to replace guys. And that's why I'm a big subscriber. If you're a top 5 pick, which you may end up with, trade down and get more picks. That's how you build your roster and get out of the hole quickly.
He's Scott Shanle, former Saint linebacker. Catch him pre- and post-game there with the Saints in-house broadcast. Hey, man, we always appreciate a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
It's our pleasure. Hey, we're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. It's not too late, y'all. We're here December 8th. But it's not too late to get your LASIK, your PRK, your EVO ICL. By the way, EVO ICL, that's the implantable contact lens, ICL. That's an alternative to LASIK. So if you've been told you're nearsighted, but you're not a candidate for LASIK, check out EVO ICL as an option. It's amazing. Dr. Blake Williamson, he's the best. Goes all over the world, lecturing, teaching, bringing back the foremost technologies to Baton Rouge. It's why people come from all over the state region to see Dr. Blake here in Baton Rouge. What a blessing it is for us to have him right here in our community. Remember, it's eye care, eyewear, eye surgery, so you can do your eye exam, you can fill your contact or glasses prescription, but of course, if you want to have that refractive procedure to be done with contacts or glasses forever, the Williamson Eye Center can help. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. All right, it's after further review. We appreciate Scott Shanle for jumping aboard. If you missed Peter Burns last hour, we did open the show today talking about Blake Baker staying with the Tigers. We did give our takeaways from Saints Bucks. You can get all that on demand, however you get your podcasts, or on YouTube. Just search After Further Review if you want the full show. If you just want LSU content, search AFR LSU. If you want just Saints content, search AFR Saints. Podcast, YouTube, you find it all there. I want to knock out a quick break, come back, and maybe we'll circle back to some more of the reaction to the college football playoff. I gave you my takeaway to it last hour. And again, I don't know that we'll ever reach a consensus, and that's okay. And I think, I don't know that my opinion is going to change anybody's mind, and that's okay. And I don't know that your opinion will change my mind, and that's okay. But I think that what we all want is what's best for college football, and this is the only sport where there's so much debate over the postseason. I mean, if you just think about it intellectually, that is true. I think we could all agree. There is no other sport where there's this much debate about the postseason, because for its entire existence, it has had a broken postseason system. There is no real championship system. We're getting closer to that, but it's still imperfect because college football tries to serve too many masters. But if I'm just to boil it down, what I want is for things to be determined on the field. I want games for things to be determined on the field, and not in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas. But every year we're getting closer to that. We'll give you some more reaction to that, what a lot of people around the college football world are saying and what might actually be ahead. So we'll do that as we continue. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Stick around.
After Further Review.
I love telling you about Clegg's Nursery every year, every time of year, but especially this time of year, because it's all about getting toward Christmas. Yes, they still have a great selection of Christmas trees. Yes, the poinsettias look fantastic. They get fresh shipments from the greenhouse almost every single day. So don't think it's been picked over and there's not a great selection. Amazing way to decorate your home or your office, or give a poinsettia as a gift. We're also here into gift-giving season. Maybe you're going to Christmas parties or you're getting ready to check off your Christmas list. They got gifts for gardeners over at Clegg's. You can get a Clegg's gift card. Let them choose. That's a perfect gift for the gardener on your list. Citrus trees are always a great gift and something that will give year after year after year. They have the beautiful tuned wind chimes in your outdoor decor. Just get on by and buy local, shop local at Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and we do shutters too.
You were the University at Notre Dame. You were a brand in college football. You were one of the founding fathers of what makes this sport great. You should not have the right to do this as a team. And if you want to figure it out and you don't want to opt out of the bowl game as the University of Notre Dame, I can fix this whole thing with you with one phone call. Hi, can we join your conference?
Oh, hey.
You cannot be an independent, control your own schedule, and then pout when you don't get in because you don't have the conference championship at your weight.
It's Matt Barry from ESPN, one of many voices that are teeing off on Notre Dame, rightfully so. Notre Dame released a statement on Sunday. It just read briefly, as a team, we've decided to withdraw our name from consideration for a bowl game following the 2025 season. We appreciate the support from our families and blah, 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 blah. Listen, I want to be clear because I don't want to come across as being contradictory. I don't want to, because I am someone who talks about how meaningless bowl games are. And I believe that. They're nothing but made-for-TV money grabs by a bunch of fat old men in ugly jackets to make money under the guise of a 501c3 nonprofit and history and tradition of college football. For years, players got a $500 swag bag. Oh, and sorry you tore your ACL and ruined your shot at the NFL. But thanks for playing in our game. So, to that end, if a player chooses to opt out of a bowl game, like Will Campbell last year, Jaden Daniels 2 years ago, Leonard Fournette and McCaffrey back in 2016, I totally get it. Absolutely. Make the best decision for you. You're not quitting on your team. I get it. You have a you have a legitimate life-altering opportunity at your fingertips, and there is no sense in jeopardizing that. I get it. Totally. The thing about Notre Dame players seemingly like voting, because it says as a team, we decided to withdraw our name. That's the thing that I just struggle with because, man, when I get it. I never played sports at a high level, but like I'm about as competitive a son of a bugger as you'll ever meet. Like I remember as a kid, there was one Saturday, and love playing baseball. Like I would lay out my uniform on my bed, like the night before the game, jersey, pants, like the stirrups, all of it. And we'd play Saturdays. I mean, I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and woke up and it was raining, and the coach called, and like our game that day had been canceled. And I like cried because I didn't get a chance to play. And I just can't imagine having the opportunity to play a game and not playing. I know that's not everybody, and that's okay. And again, like I just said, there's people who have a higher level decision, but man, like you only get so many opportunities. It's why like one of the reasons I hate the ejection for targeting rule in college football is that. Like think about Whit Weeks earlier this year. Plays 3 plays against Florida. He's making a tackle, hard play, running to the football. The ball carrier, crouches, and they have helmet-to-helmet contact, and Witt's ejected. Like, not only are you altering games, but you only get so many of those opportunities, man. Like, one day it's going to be over. So that's the part of me that's like, God, dog, I can't imagine sitting in that room and being like, yeah, I'm not going to play. I mean, think back to like 2021 when LSU played that bowl game it was a Texas Bowl against K-State with 39 scholarship players. There was that cut from John Trey Kirkland where he's like, we got 11, we're going to play. I mean, they played with 39 scholarship players and a receiver playing quarterback just to go play. I mean, I'm not saying that's the right decision. I remember the late Mike Leach, when he was at Mississippi State in the COVID year. Remember, you're allowed 85 scholarship players in college football. And he said they played 4 games that year with fewer than 53 scholarship players, including one against Georgia. But they played. That's where I go with Notre Dame. And a lot, they're not the only one. There's like 5 teams today or whatever that have opted out of bowl games. So I understand there's a lot of reasons why those decisions are made. So I'm not being totally critical of the decision not to play in a bowl game. It's more if you're telling me that Notre Dame's team voted and we're like, now we're good. Man, that's one where I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't sit in that room and be like, y'all guys, I'm good. I'm going to take it on home for the holidays. We don't need to play a game. I'd be like, no, man, let's go get it. But the athletic director, Pete Bavacca, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't really care. Bavacca. He was on the Dan Patrick show, and he's not pleased, and he expressed his displeasure.
I want to make one thing clear, Dan. We have no problems with the teams that made it in. They're all great teams. Miami's a great team. Alabama's a great team. We're a great team. What we're so confused by and frustrated with is the process. Every step along the way since the first CFP rankings came out, we were led to believe we were in as long as we took care of business. And Dan, you think about that first ranking, we in Miami were both 6-2. They had obviously already beat us the first game of the year. They were 18th. We were 10th. The only thing that we did since that point was win every game by over an average of over 30 points. And, all of a sudden we're 11th and on the outside looking in, and we don't have any good answers for that. So we're just really frustrated that we had the rug pulled out from underneath us, Dan.
Yeah. That's true, Pete. That did happen. Matt Barry's right. They joined a conference. I mean, Notre Dame gets to play by an entirely different set of rules. Now, I do agree, however, that they should be in the playoff. But this is the point that I have made and will continue to make over and over again. Like, I don't want subjectivity to determine who gets to play for a championship. There's no other sport in the world where that's the case. Where, like, teams, like, you have methodologies for access to playing for a championship. Like, in the NFL, you win your division, you're in. And then the teams with the highest records get the wild card spots. And, like, that's under the assumption that you're in this league of 32 teams. Everybody's equal. And so you get to go play your schedule. And everybody plays a relatively equal schedule. Like, that's one of the things that has to change in college football, or you have to grant more access, which is what I would like to see. I would like to incentivize teams to play tougher schedules. I want to incentivize Texas to go play at Ohio State. And if you lose that game, it's not going to cripple you. Because I'd rather see that. I know it's not what and what, but I'll just give you an example of something that maybe is relatable. So, like, this isn't a Scream Calici thing, but so, because a lot of teams do this, I just know because it's where I went to high school and I follow. But, like, Catholic this year in the pre-district played St. Thomas More and at West Monroe, and they played a team in Mississippi. That was a great team. Like, went all over and played these great teams. Like, they challenged themselves. They ended up losing a couple of those games. But there's a power system in place that rewards you for playing really good teams. Like, that should be the same here, and it would be an agreed-upon metric. You're a G6 team and you want access, okay? Now you're going to be rewarded for scheduling all Power 4 non-conference games because it's going to help your power rating. Like, it's doable to where you have an agreed-upon metric that's going to give teams access. So, because, like, Indiana last year is a great example of that. They go 11-1, but they were hot garbage. That schedule was hot garbage. They played one ranked team. I shouldn't say Indiana was hot garbage. Their schedule was hot garbage. They played one ranked team. It was Ohio State, and they got beat like a drum. But they were 11-1, so they got in. Like, was Indiana's 11-1 better a year ago than Ole Miss, Bama, or South Carolina's 9-3? I wouldn't think so. But that's an opinion. So let's have a system that has access to where we can determine that result on the field. Wouldn't that be good? That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not pounding the table and yelling and screaming. I mean, this feels to me like common sense. Let's have a metric that gives us the best 16 teams, or 8, 24, 32. I mean, I put on Twitter the other day, go to 32, and people melted over that. Like, sure, I would love to see 32. I want to see more football. If you don't want to go to 32, I think 16 is appropriate. We get to 24, whatever. But what I want to do is eliminate the subjectivity, where you have teams with a legitimate beef on the outside. And Notre Dame and Texas and BYU and Vanderbilt all have a legitimate beef. They do. And you say, well, don't lose to Team X. Okay. Well, then now what you're doing is you're disincentivizing scheduling tough games. You're disincentivizing a 9-game schedule because now you've guaranteed half your league another loss. You're disincentivizing playing key non-conference games. You're going to tell me you'd rather LSU open up against Baylor instead of Clemson? What do you want to? You want to see LSU play Rutgers instead of, opening up next year at home against Clemson, or playing Southern Cal in Las Vegas? I mean, what are we talking about? Like, let's see actual, real, meaningful games that we get excited about. Let's reward teams for playing those games. It seems very obvious because we see it in every other sport, but for some reason, too many people in college football can't get mentally over that hurdle. But my hope is we're getting closer. It's not a hope. We are getting closer to that. The BCS gave us 2, and we had the 4 team. Now we have 12. And I think it's inevitable we're going to hit 14 or 16 in the next iteration, which is going to be great. Because if you get to 16, then the 4 I just mentioned are in. Great. And you can say, well, 17 will complain. Well, 17 this year is Arizona, and I'm not super sympathetic to Arizona. I don't think they have a great case to be in. Would I like to see it even further expanded so we get more games? Yeah, I think that'd be great. Give me 32. Yeah. You got to win 5 games to win a national championship. God, that'd be awesome. 10-game regular season and a true playoff. Or 11, 12-game regular season and a true playoff. Get rid of the conference championship games. I mean, I understand there's money involved, and it's not as easy as waving a magic wand and just having that done. But it's doable. And every other sport does it. Hell, college football does it at the FCS level. So don't tell me it can't be done. Just got to get to the point where they can make the money work, and it'll make sense for everyone involved. But we're getting closer to it. All right, it's after further review, y'all. Let me knock out our final break, presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. We'll wrap up with Jimmy will be here for Otter Locks, Monday Night Football pick. Stick around.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark and the Renaissance. Watermark Baton Rouge, Renaissance Baton Rouge. Of course, Watermark downtown, Renaissance Southtown. The Renaissance is right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. You got family members coming in for the holidays. Make sure, if you don't have enough room at the inn or you don't want a Griswold situation, tell them to go stay at Renaissance Baton Rouge. Gorgeous. Remember, every Renaissance is unique to the market it's in. So no two Renaissance properties are identical. So when you go to Renaissance Baton Rouge, you'll walk in, you'll see the big sculpture behind the front desk. That is a 2-scale model of the Mississippi River and its tributaries. When you look at the carpet, those are the artwork on the carpet are like crab traps. They have chandelier and hanging artwork, which are like pelican eggs that are hatching and supposed to symbolize the state bird. There's so much uniqueness to Renaissance Baton Rouge. You got to check it out if you've never been there. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. And we do shutters too.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR, presented by Relief Windows. One thing left to do, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Yo, Otter, how are you?
What's up, Matt?
Been a really good weekend, man. Enjoyable. Watched a lot of football. Won a little bit. So hoping to keep it going, man.
Yeah, let's keep it going tonight. Cross coast fight for the NFC East Eagles here in the defending champs. And, man, they've been a lot of bickering this season for the Eagles, especially in the offensive side. And so beware in trying to put together a single-game parlay with any type of individual players over for tonight's matchup. The Chargers, as expected today, called up Marion Hampton from the injured reserve, so he is active, the rookie running back, so that should give them a nice boost to their running game. And Mr. Herbert is going to start. He had that, the little procedure on his non-throwing hand, but we're going to take the points tonight. It was creeping up, went from 1.5 to 2.5 today. Doubt if it's going to get to 3. If it does, you definitely take that. But going with the Los Angeles Chargers at home.
It's actually at 1.5 now.
Okay.
So it went backwards. Right. So what do we think?
No, same thing. No, we're going to take the Chargers plus 1.5.
Yeah. All right. Any sprinkle on the money line?
Oh, it's
no, it's plus $1.10.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's unfortunate. We went 2.5, but again, anything under 3 is you pretty much had the same stance on.
Okay, all right. Chargers plus 1.5 right now. Where are you tomorrow?
We're at Doe's Eat Place on Government Street.
All right, Otter. We appreciate it. Good luck. Thank you.
All right. Good luck.
All right, man. It's after further review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com. Had a lot of rain this weekend. Typically, when it rains. It's when you find out that you got a hole in your roof or a leak and you get water spots on your ceiling. Tell you, typically when you see the water spots, it didn't just start. That's an accumulative leak. And so you might have had water in your walls and your insulation for weeks, months, who knows. Could have mold. Let Parish Restoration come check it out. They'll kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens, maybe at the office, Someone brought in flu, COVID, it's going around. You want to knock that out? Let Parrish come in and spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. And non-toxic, so it's safe for people, for pets, for plants. Let them come in, spray. They'll knock it all out. Have you clean smelling, lickety-split. ParrishRestoration.com, ParrishRestoration.com. Just fill out the form there on the homepage, ParrishRestoration.com. All right, y'all, been a really good show. Appreciate you for hanging out on a week where we feel like maybe we can exhale a little bit. After a 6-week sprint, LSU's got their coach in place. Bowl game has been set. Frank Wilson is going to have a teleconference, a Zoom, to preview the bowl game tomorrow. So we'll hear from Frank Wilson as they get ready for the Texas Bowl. Frank, of course, is going to coach LSU in the Texas Bowl on December 27th against Houston. So we'll have that for you. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
Getting on down the road. Hey, let me remind you about Lee Michaels. I popped into Lee Michaels last week. I told you we had Erica's her engagement ring, her diamond repaired. One of the prongs was broken on it. They had to reset it and replace some of the pave. Anyway, so it was in Lee Michaels last week. Got to see Scott over there, which was awesome. Always good to visit, but man, it was popping. You can tell it's just that time of year. And one of the amazing things every time I walk into Lee Michaels that always strikes me is the selection. So it doesn't matter necessarily what you're looking for. Yes, they have the most beautiful, diverse selection of diamond engagement rings. And if you're thinking of popping the question, go to Lee Michaels. If they don't have what you want, they'll find it. They can't find it, they'll make it. But it's not just diamond engagement rings. Necklaces, watches, bracelets, earrings, pendants, writing utensils, everything. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry.
Even the Rich is a podcast from Wondery that tells the jaw-dropping stories about the tumultuous lives of the world's elite, from the greatest family dynasties to pop culture superstars.
Listen to Even the Rich on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen ad-free by joining Wondery Plus in Apple Podcasts or the Wondery app.